Hello friends, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my bi-monthly wrap-up video, which is where I'll be going over the books I have read in the months of March and April. In the last 2 months I have read 8 books, some that I've really enjoyed and some that I definitely have some things to say about, so I'm really excited for this video to just go over everything I've read, give you my thoughts and opinions, have a discussion, and all of that. As I said, I have 8 books that I have read, as well as 2 honorable mentions of things I am currently reading, so without further ado, let's just jump on into this wrap-up video. I will be going through this list of books in chronological order, however, I will be starting off with 2 honorable mentions, which are books that I am currently reading. First up is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I'm listening to this book on audiobook, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm about 60% done listening to it, and I've really fallen in love with some of these characters and this whole plot. I really like how it is a standalone at this part in time, or it was meant to be a standalone all along. There is a second book coming out sometime in the future, but I am really enjoying this book, and I'm really excited to see how this book closes off. I am roughly 60% through the book, as I said, and I'm excited to see where this book goes towards the end. Overall, it's a great book, and I will give more thoughts in another wrap-up video or in a video soon once I finish it. And I also just started Tahira Mafi's second book in the Shatter Me series called Unravel Me. So I'm not going to say what it is about, but I'm about like 40 pages in, so I don't really have much to say, but I am reading those 2 books at the moment. Now jumping into books that I have actually read. I will just be doing my overall quick thoughts and ratings in this video, but if you are interested in hearing more of my overall more in-depth thoughts of anything, I'll link any videos that I have in the cards of this video, as well as you can check out my Goodreads for full written reviews on all of the books I will be naming in this video. And now, let's jump in. The first book I finished in the month of March is The School for Good and Evil Quests for Glory. This is the 4th book in the series, the first in the Camelot Years trilogy. I won't be going over what this book is about exactly, but I do have a video talking about the first book, which you can click over here, or if you want my non-spoiler thoughts for this book, you can now also click this video over here because I do have a full non-spoiler section, so be sure to check those out if you are interested. And this was a great book to start off the second trilogy in the series. I really enjoyed it. There were only a few things that I didn't really like as much in this book, but I overall did find it a very enjoyable read. As for my rating for this book, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which I think is pretty good for this book, as I did have a few problems, some being the lack of character development I found in one of the main characters specifically, as well as some of the writing. For the lack of character development in a specific character, I feel that each book you should have a character start off with something and either get better or get worse, but there has to be some kind of development. I found for one main character in this book that they kind of had things that happened to them, they would get sad and then they just stay exactly the same, or they'd have good things that happen to them, but then they just stay exactly the same. So that was something I didn't really enjoy about this book. I think that there should have been character development in some standpoint. I didn't really feel that. As well for some of the writing, I felt some things predictable and just overall not my favorite in this book. So that is why I did dock it down to 3.5 stars. But as I said, it is a really enjoyable read, and if you read the last 3 books in the series, I would recommend you read this book to carry on. Next up, actually, I read The School for Good and Evil, A Crystal of Time. This is the next book that I read, and this is the 5th book in the School for Good and Evil series, the 2nd in the Camelot Years. This book I found absolutely amazing, and the problems I had with the last book, such as the lack of character development and bad writing, I definitely thought were fixed in this book. There was lots of great foreshadowing, there were so many interesting plot twists and cool scenes, and so many cool character moments we got. I found really good for this book. So as you can probably guess from that, I did give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Just like the last book, I do have a full video on this book, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. I also have my full series review for the 5 books that are out. There's one more coming out within the next few years, so be sure to check that out also if you're interested. But I did give this book a 5 out of 5 stars for all the things I named. Great characters, great plot twists, good anticipation. The cliffhanger in this book was absolutely amazing. Sometimes in this series, the cliffhangers just leave you with no hope for anything in the world, but this one I actually really enjoyed because it left you with a little bit of hope almost. Not really, I don't really have much hope, but it left off the best I think in the series just for this ending, and as I said, it's a great book. You can watch the video I said if you want to hear more of my thoughts, and yeah. Next up, I read A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the 2nd book in the Shades of Magic trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. Man, I've had a lot of books that I've really enjoyed so far. This is exciting. Anyways, I annotated this book, as you can probably see over here, so I really enjoyed this experience of going more in depth with this text, looking at some of the plot things, character things, just good moments overall. I really enjoyed it, and this is definitely a book I would reread in the future, and this overall series I would reread as well. I ended up giving this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars because overall I loved this book. I loved the characters we got to learn more about, the new characters we got introduced to. I loved the anticipation towards the ending and how we're waiting for these characters, this big event to happen, kind of. I don't want to spoil it too much. I do have a video talking about the series, which you can click over here. And overall, I really enjoy this series. Something I absolutely loved about this book, on top of everything I've already said, is the different character perspectives we see, as well as the amazing romance and everything regarding that. I am a sucker for some good romance, and this book fully delivered on that aspect. I really did enjoy this book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason I did not give it a 5 out of 5 stars is because I found for the first like third middle-ish of the story a little bit slow paced and not something I particularly fully enjoyed. However, I did really enjoy the story itself, and especially the fast pacedness towards the end really made up for all of that. So hence I just docked 0.5 stars because I do think that was important to recognize, but nothing I would really complain about. I would definitely reread this in the future, and I definitely will plan to read this in the future again. I just absolutely loved this world and these characters and everything we saw, so this book was great, and I would highly recommend the Shades of Magic trilogy for anyone who is ever considering it. Just like the last few books, this is the next book in the series. It is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, the third and last book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. Again, I annotated this book, really enjoyed diving in deeper, seeing all these characters and plot things, having cool quotes, all that kind of stuff. Really enjoyed it. I would recommend this book if you read the last two. I thought they're really good. I just love diving into these characters in this world some more. I think there's just so much to explore, and I think V.E. Schwab just does such a good job of closing off this series relatively well. I did end up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars, which is a pretty good rating, but just a few things. It wasn't my absolute favorite in the series, but again, I just love this world and characters so much. And the romance in this book was absolutely amazing as well, probably even better than the last book. So I just had to give it a good rating still. I really loved it, and I would definitely recommend this book if you have read the last two, and I would recommend this series. I just love these characters and this world so much. I have a video that I already said, watch it if you're interested to learn more about my thoughts or the books themselves. I just loved it. Nothing more to say about that. And yeah, next up, I did not have the physical book with me because I borrowed it from a friend, but I read Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I ended up reading this book because one of my friends, Rachel, has recommended me this series and I wanted to finally read it. And I'm also going to a signing where Tahira Mafi is going to be there very soon, so I thought it was fitting that I should read her books because I'm going to a signing where she is. It just makes sense. Overall, I kind of liked this book, but like not that much. I'll explain. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it, but not to the extent that I would have loved to. I have heard from fans and other people just in general that the first book is the worst in the series, and it gets better and better as it goes on. I can understand that. That's kind of how my feelings were for the School for Good and Evil series. I'm hopefully going to be continuing on fully with the series. We're going to see how it goes. But back to my review for the first book. So I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the concept of the story. I liked how our main character Juliet, how her voice as a character is really cool, and as well as the writing as well. How she has she doubts herself a lot. She doesn't have a lot of confidence in some regards. She's scared of certain things, and we really see that, especially with the strikeouts on the pages. So we have her original thought. It'll be struck out, and then her new thought will be there. Something like that. It's hard to explain, but I really liked that element. I thought it was really creative and added to the story. However, this book was published a bunch of years ago, and I know love triangles were in a lot back then, and that just isn't my thing as much anymore. I still do like it in some regards, but I don't think this one was done very well. I don't think the main lovers that should be together have that much going for them to say in this book. The third person in this love triangle, I think, is also just kind of weird too. I normally love romance and really love this part in a story, and it's not normally too hard to impress me in that regard, and I was not impressed with this book, so that is one of the reasons why I gave it a relatively lower rating. I do feel I'd stick with a 3 out of 5 stars though, because I did enjoy the plot of the story, and I'm relatively interested to see where it goes in the next books. Next up, again, I don't have the physical book with me, but I read the novella called Destroy Me by Tahira Mafi. It is the book that comes in between the first and second, 1.5 you would say. It's 80 or 100 pages, however long this novella is, and I ended up giving it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I did not fully enjoy this story. I found it really cool to see Warner's perspective a little bit dived into more, so I found that part pretty cool, but it's nothing that I would really recommend, nor reread, nor really value and add on to the story. I think that some of his motives could have been incorporated into Shatter Me or other books more maybe. I don't know yet, I've only read the first one so far, but it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. It wasn't my least favorite thing, but it's just nothing that I would really say oh, you should read that. It wasn't for me. Next up is this great book that I recently read called Radio Silence. It is by Alice Oseman, and it is absolutely amazing. It is a standalone book. I listened to the audiobook for this book, so I don't have the physical copy, but there's the cover as you already see. I would recommend this book 100%, especially if you are in high school, any grade in high school, you're worried or you're looking into your future after high school, your education, any kind of life stuff, or even your time in high school right now. I would really recommend this book because it can definitely help you see other perspectives and also just help you calm your nerves down so you don't have to worry about everything so much. I know that's something definitely I'm kind of worried about because that's kind of stressful, but this book is definitely just such a great insight to so many other things. There are so many different like things that happen in this book. Like there's main plots, the subplots are great. There's so many great things. Okay, so as I said, I have a video about this. I'll link it in the description as well because I think everyone should read this book, especially if you're in high school. It was such a great read. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars in case I did not already say that. This is kind of off topic, but I don't know if you've ever read the back of a book, the synopsis, and you kind of get spoiled for something that happens in the story. I hate when that happens and it's kind of stupid, but there's this one thing that I want to read to you that the author published on Goodreads that it does not spoil anything at all but just really adds. I'll put a picture right over here. It says, "This is my second published book. I wrote it while I was at university, fueled by how much I hated being there. It features a biracial bisexual protagonist who believes her future lies in academia. Her learning that sometimes there are other paths through life and learning to embrace her passion for art. The shy, mysterious creator of a science fiction audio drama podcast. A friendship between a boy and a girl where they don't fall in love. A critique of the way the education system brainwashes teens into believing that if they don't get good grades, they're destined for failure and misery. Almost all LGBT plus main characters. I really hope you enjoy." That's just a little thing there. If any of that sounds interesting to you or anything that I just said sounds interesting to you, please read it. Oh my god, it is one of my favorite standalones of all time. I'd recommend you read it, especially if you fit the description of someone who might like it. Please read it. I have a video on it. Watch it. See if you're interested. It's so good. Moving on. Okay, great. Finally, lastly on this list of books I have read in the last 2 months is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I read this book 2-3 years ago. I did not remember any of it, so I wanted to reread it again for an upcoming video you'll see, and I ended up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy the story, and I enjoyed like the plot and the concept of it, especially near the end towards like the plot twist and just actiony scenes, and especially the ending I thought was really good. I also enjoyed the concept of the photographs in the book. You can kind of see as I flip through, there's like different photographs, which I thought really added to the story. You can kind of see that as I flip through there, hopefully. I did enjoy that aspect. I thought it was just overall really creatively well done, well written, all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't my favorite thing in the world. And so because of that, I didn't really want to give it that high of a rating. Nothing in this book really blew me away, nor would I really recommend this book. I think there's many other things that are much better that I would recommend before this book. Hence, that's really why I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I also just found myself going really, really slowly reading it. Like, nothing really kept me like intrigued in the story like that much, which kind of pains me to say because I know a lot of other people really like this book, but wasn't entirely for me, but I can definitely appreciate a lot of the aspects of this book. There we go. Those are all the things that I read in the last 2 months, as well as the things I'm currently reading. I hope you enjoyed. Overall, I think to say I've had a relatively successful last 2 months, and overall 2019 in general, I've had a lot of books that I really enjoyed, and a few that I haven't enjoyed as much, but still a lot that I really did enjoy. As I said, if you were interested in seeing any of my full reviews, I'll have my Goodreads link down below, so be sure to check them out, or any of the videos that I mentioned, I will also have them down below as well. But other than that, that is the end of this video, so if you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you read any of the books that I've mentioned, if you liked them, if you didn't. I just want to have a discussion with you guys because that's just honestly fun to see other people's opinions, so leave me a comment down below, I'll answer, we'll have a good time. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time with a new video. So until then, bye.